We thought we'd show you some of the value-adding aspects for this full leg of lamb. So first of all, Rafa, we might talk about the chump.
If we were to look at identifying where the rump comes from, or the chump in lamb, is we would be running our fingers or our thumb up until we hit the bone that runs along here, and basically all I'm doing now is identifying that mark, and I'd run my knife straight through, and that starts to identify our chump off full leg into a chump piece that we'll be able to bone out and use as rump.
So this roast, we've used consumer panels to score sheep meat, and we've done it by grilling methods, by stir-fry methods, and also roasting. So this rump steak, we can cook it either cap on, which means the fat's left on. So these steaks come in at about 75 out of 100 points. So consumers give about 75 out of 100. Now I like to think of an exam. If you've got 75 out of 100, you've usually got a distinction. In other words, a very good student, this person's bulletproof, they'll do the right job for you. Well, this steak is going to be bulletproof and do the right job for you.
10 years ago that probably would have gone to the dog, yeah? But today, shanks are so popular and everybody loves them. So the first thing we need to do is identify where we can take that cut off. And if you run your finger through here, David, you can actually feel the patella as it joins onto there. And that's the sort of mark that I'm going to do with my knife. And I'm just going to open up this little section there. So if you like, you can turn it upside down, and again, just with the tip of your knife, just work your way through that joint. And there's our lamb shank, David. So, you know, these days there were, if we had 6 lamb shanks on the leg,
we'd be on a sheep, you mean? Yeah, that's right. But we've only got 4.
But you can see that.
I think we'll stick with 4, Rafa, I think.
Stay with 4. But,
All right, Rafa, now we'll do our second leg. Now, I thought we'd start this time with a leg more typical that you'd buy in many supermarkets and butcher shops, where the chump has been removed because it's such a valuable cut and it's often gone off to the restaurant trade. So now we've got a leg that's been tipped at the shank end, and the chump's off, but we've still got our nasty H-bone in. What I mean nasty, I mean just shape-wise. So we'll still give you a second shot at removing the H-bone, and then we'll move into actually fabricating this leg down into the individual cuts. This is a lamb leg from about a 24 to 25 kilogram carcass, so it's a good size, but modern genetics is such that you've got just a nice amount of fat cover. So you haven't got large amounts of fat that you would have had, say, 20 years ago. See, there's a very nice thin layer, but of course just enough. So you need some fat coverage, but most importantly, you need fat inside the meat. Now, fat inside the meat is called intramuscular fat, and in beef it's called marbling. So the CRC has been doing a lot of work on genetically identifying animals that can marble, and it has a very high genetic heritability. So it's a very exciting attribute of the new direction we're taking in lamb. So we can keep lamb lean, but put the fat where it should be, inside the meat, where it's juicy. All right, I think we should start to get that jolly H-bone out again.
okay. At this point it actually makes it a little easier, because we can start to see the 2 movements off the femur running through that H-bone, or the hip bone as we might like to call it. So all I'm doing is I'm just identifying with my knife is just to come around, and I'm just taking it nice and easy and slow. The most important thing is to, at this stage, if I can just quickly show you, is just to open that joint up, no troubles. The first thing I want to do is talk about removing this femur bone, isolating that from the lamb itself, or the lamb leg itself, and then we're going to look at doing a cut called an easy-carve lamb leg, and removing the knuckle and pulling the knuckle or the round, rolling that out, so we have a mini roast, and a roast that'll feed 6 to 8 people.
Beautiful dog bone, of course, as well. $5 a kilo, so you've got yourself a dog bone as well. So you kept the whole family happy, Rafa.
It's all about it. Once upon a time he would get a shank, and now he gets the little
A free dog bone as well.
Exactly. So we've opened up that now, and we've got our top side, our silver side, and our knuckle or round sitting there.
So top side's a very, very big muscle of the leg. A big working muscle was very bright red, as we saw before. And this is a round muscle, consists of about 4 muscles over here.
For me, I don't want to just remove and cut the fat off from here, because I want to save this skin and just start to roll that knuckle out.
So it's called round steak because it looks very round when it's presented in its whole form. And of course it can be done as a mini roast, but in fact consumers seem to find steaking it better. So you can obviously slice it into steaks. We've tested typically 15mm thickness and cooked them to approximately 65 degrees, which is medium. That's rocket fuel in terms of healthiness and tastiness and juiciness, just fantastic. You can often purchase an easy-carve leg, and basically the easy-carve leg is now what's left, rolled up and strung to make, of course, for it to hold together. So Raph will just quickly explain the easy-carve leg.
No trouble. I like to just find the gap in between the top side and silver side. Okay, that just comes straight out. Now what we do is we start to look at shaping this for an easy-carve. So the skin is unrolling back into this format. Okay, and now if I'm going to tie some strings around this, David, this is the modern way of roasting for smaller ways. So our big full leg where Mum would cook for 2, 3, 4 hours, we're now being able to get this down to a cooking time of about an hour and a half. That'll feed 4, 6, 8 people really comfortably, and more important for a consumer is they've got a handle, and from a slicing point is just really simple straight through, which makes it nice and easy for the consumer.
Okay, Raph, let's get this top side out next, Dave.
No troubles. So what I'll just quickly do is I'm just going to remove that, just to make it easy to identify, is I'll just remove that silver skin, and then it allows us those 2 cuts, which is the top side and our silver side. And really it's just a simple process, again, it's identifying where your seams are, and don't be scared to put your fingers in between and identify where those cuts are. Again, just with the tips of your knife, is you identify how that top side meets onto the silver side, or the eye round of the silver side, and that's starting to open up really nicely.
There's 2 major muscles here. There's the semimembranosus and the adductor. To be honest, Rafa, as a steak, it's probably the only cut in lamb that's just marginal. It passes. Consumers give it about 50 out of 100, so it's a pass mark. So if your son or daughter's gone to school, they've passed. You're still proud of them, but they could have done better. We should get onto the silver side, or what is largely called the biceps femoris muscle. It's quite a big muscle. So Rafi, perhaps show us what we can do with this one.
What I'd look at doing is, there's a shank here, and I'm going to remove the shank first, David, just so that we can start to see. Oops, and you can, if you like, you can pick it up from that end there and just use a seam. Okay. Okay, and this is a hind quarter shank, and if you get real fancy, David, and you've got the time and the bandsaw and you nick it off, you can make it stand up for the occasion and the whole lot. So that's a little hind quarter shank, and then we'll remove the little heel muscle that sits in off the shank, and really, David, that's a wonderful piece for stewing. And
yes, it's more your slow cook. It's obviously got. It connects to the tendons, so there's some strength in that muscle. It has to be, because it's propelling the animal forward. But delicious, slow roasted, in a whole leg. That shank end is always the first to go, or of course
it's the most gelatinous and flavourous. So we end up now with the silver side muscle. This is, I suppose, in the consumer world, you might have called it a H-bone piece, and off the first part, and this part is the eye round. Eye round, that's right, yeah. That runs on the inside. So we've got 2 muscles. That's actually quite a spectacular cut, both of them.
Yeah. So this one here is the biceps femoris, and in larger ruminants it's quite tough, and usually it's corned, like corned beef or something like that. Is that correct, Rafa?
Yeah, pickling, corning.
And this one here is the eye round, and again in larger ruminants that also is quite chewy as well. But in lamb that cut performs really well, and you can. Well, it's not probably the right shape for roasting, but you can certainly stir fry it. You can certainly make it into steaks for for grilling. It's actually, or of course, again, slow cooked
Slow
meals are
cooked,
perfect.
yeah.
So that's a very versatile cut that you don't often see in the shops, but you can prepare it yourself from a whole leg,
That's
no problem
right.
at all.
So yeah, so that's to me, you know, like you said, David, it's got a little bit of selvage or fat on there that gives it, even if you did want to do a little quick roast or something like
You could
that.
roll it, yes, that's right.
A couple little strings along there, sliced through, done today.
And again, the rating that consumers give for this as a grill, it just surprised me. It's up around a credit again. I'm using the old past credit distinction. And consumers typically give that a credit on a grill. Now that's unbelievable for a leg muscle that's doing a lot of work compared to big ruminants. So spectacular lamb.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, when you start playing with lamb, David, in this format and breaking it down into all these cuts, it becomes quite exciting for the consumer to start, you know, maybe buying a whole piece of meat, a leg, and then doing a little bit of self-butchery, following some of these simple steps that we've done today.
Well, Rafa, thank you very much. Thanks for coming to Murdoch University and supporting the CRC as always. And we're really excited about the future of lamb. It's already an excellent product. And our goal is to keep it the best lamb in the world.